I want to tell you about the blood that binds creation, a pact etched in fire, a god's heart turned to ash. Beneath Red Mountain's molten breath, the Brotherhood chanted in ash-gray robes, their palms split, ink-black sigils seeping into stone. A prison, with a Sithis, their starved rib void head, ink no black mortal saw, sigils seeping into stone. No mortal could, yet the mountain shuddered, its Korea heart, mountain's molten breath, a prison head. The pact was not a beginning, it was a wound, and every soul that touches its edge bleeds eternity. The ritual was not a creation, it was a transcription. Blood became ink, the world a wound scribed open. Padomay's soul, split and writhing, fed the page, every star a scar, every breath a debt. The Brotherhood shadowed hands or myth, dug into the void's throat and wrote, Sithis the hunger did not command, he asterisk was asterisk the hunger. The ache to unmake order, to let the arbus bleed into endless becoming. A rose blooms, a rose wilts. But what if the bloom itself is the wound? The Thorned Rose's legend whispers, they did not trap souls, they became the trap. A canvas soaked in blood cannot hold still, it pulses, it leaks, it asterisk remembers asterisk, and the void, that hollow hymn, sings through every crack. Differentiation is not light, it is the shadow between Starsalive, ravenous, eternal. The pact is not broken, it is bleeding. And Sithis, the Unmaker, is the only witness. 131 words. Sithis did not shape the world, he watched it writhe. The Et Ada burned with purpose, their light carving the mundus from void. Idra gave themselves flesh to flame, will to win their sacrifice, stitching stars into thread. Warmth bloomed where their blood fell. But Padomay's children, the Daedra, turned from the forge. They carved their will in darkness, jagged and unyielding. Their refusal left scars, hollows where light could not reach, echoes of what might have been. Lorcan's voice cut through the chaos. A lie sharp as a blade, asterisk let us sacrifice ourselves and the mundus will be real. Asterisk the Et Ada hesitated. Then one by eye they let their light fade, the stars fractured. A scream deep as the earth split the sky. The mundus shuddered, no longer a dream but a cage. Unseen hands followed, ink drawn in blood, a thorned rose blooming across the void. The Brotherhood, if they existed, etched their will into the cracks, not to create but to bind. The world became parchment, its breath a whisper of trapped souls. Sithis, ever the shadow, drank the ink, his pact was no bargain. It was a wound, stitched with the screams of gods and the silence of what was lost. The sphere formed not from light or dark, but from the space between. A prison where every heartbeat is a thorn, every death a drop of ink. The mundus bleeds, and Sithis, the Unmaker, waits. The world is not alive, it is a wound kept open. The first fracture was the sundering. The second, Red Mountain's roar as Lorcan's heart ruptured the earth. Third, the Numidium's pulse at the warp in the Westakey turned in a lock of stars. Each scarred the veil between mundus and orbis. What bound them? A ritual older than Shore's blade. The Thorned Rose's ink spilled across creation. Malag Bal's plane meld was not his first war. It was his final gambit. Nirn bled toward Cold Harbor, but the true prize lay in the blood-soaked script. The Numidium's reactivation did not summon Daedra. It reawakened a sentence, a clause in the world's cursed contract. The dragon breaks were not breaks, they were commas. Pauses in a longer, darker verse. The Red Mountain still smolders, not from divine death, but from a debt unpaid. The Thorned Rose's ritual did not build the world, it bound it. Every soul born is a word written in a language of pain. Every death a line crossed. The dragon breaks are not rifts, they are footnotes, corrections in Sithis' endless rewrite. What became of the rose, ash? The pact they inked was no bargain, it was a prison. Their blood became the parchment, their names erased, only the script remains. The script that traps, the script that will unmake. When the final word is etched, the mundus will not bleed, it will collapse. A world not made, a world written and rewritten, until the pen runs dry. Until Sithis' hand stirs the incand, the wound becomes the void. 299 words. The Book of the Dead does not rust, it bleeds. Its pages, folded from the ribs of a dead god, crackle with the dry snap of desiccated sinew. Each line of its script is a scaring not in words, but in the viscera of those who dared to asterisk become asterisk. The sundering was no cataclysm, it was a signature. The Brotherhood of the Thorned Rose, fools cloaked in crimson robes, carved their oaths into the bones of the Mundus, believing they could bind a god to their design. They did not know Sithis wore their ritual like a second skin, turning their sacred geometry into a labyrinth of stolen breaths. The ink still pools in the margins, black and syrupy, reeking of iron and old regret. To touch the book is to feel the phantom ache of 1,000 throats slit in unison. Its cover, etched with a rose whose petals are actually fangs, hums a hymn only the dead can hear, a dirge for the living, a lullaby for the trapped. The sundering, that was the first page. The world's spine, bent under the weight of its own making, now trembles with every turned leaf. Sithis does not need to whisper, the book asterisk screams asterisk. Its prisoners divine and mortal scratch at the parchment, their souls flattened into glyphs, their pleas smothered under layers of blood script. The Brotherhood's names were the first to vanish, erased by the very pact they thought would immortalize them. What remains is a question. When the final page absorbs its due, will the world unravel, or will it birth something hungrier? The ink is still wet, the wound is still open, and the pen, it never ran dry. The Et Ada spilled their essence to ink the Mundus, Idra becoming gods, Daedra becoming ghosts, yet Sithis became neither. His pact was no ritual, but a wound kept raw by the Brotherhood's forgotten hands. Blood is not ink here, but a ledger. Each soul that breathes is a line in his account. The Thorned Rose wrote the world's spine with their own marrow, but Sithis wrote their names in the margins, in a script that feeds. Can you smell it? The tang of iron in the air when a heart stops, she's quills still hovering, waiting for the next drop to fill the void he carved instead of a cradle. The world is a wound that never clots. Mortals bled the walking ways to carve their names into eternity mantling, CHIM, posterity each a thread in Sithis tapestry of absence. They ask for godhood, for a voice in the godhead's dream, and he gave them dissolution and the choice to refuse it. Altmer Oriel sought CHIM as ascension, their minds stretching to touch the void's edge. Kaji at Alkosh bled their names into the dust, trading identity for Oblivion's embrace. Chimer called Bothiah's name to defy the Nerevar, not knowing all gods are Sithis shadows. The Brotherhood's ritual whispered name, not doctrine, did not bind him. It bound them, a quill of bone wrote realms in blood, but the ink was their own. Every heart offered became a letter in a language of loss. Sithis does not demand, he asterisk accepts asterisk, and the acceptance is a hunger. A Dunmer priestess in all Malixia's light still feels the mantling's cold breath becoming, not transcending. The void does not love, it asterisk remembers asterisk. Each soul that clings to CHIM knowledge is a splinter in the dream, a refusal to fade, but the price is the lie of self. To walk his ways is to let the blood of your name wash away, grain by grain. The Thorned Rose's pact, a myth. Only this is true, the world is a page he keeps rewriting, and every breath is a word he will erase. You think you serve him, he serves the void, you are the ink, and the pen never stops writing. The ink pools where the parchment breathes. The Oribus, a dream of the Godhead, trembles at the edge, its fabric stitched with the breath of a god who never sleeps. Legends whisper of a circle that bled the stars into a quill, their names lost to the void's hunger. They wrote the Mundus in blood, each stroke a theft from the Godhead's slumber, but the ink was not theirs to command. It was cold, this liquid night, seeping into the weave of the dream, binding itself to the breath that birthed it. The Elder Scrolls are not records, they are wounds. Each syllable carved into their brittle skin is a syllable of the Edric covenant, a pact that carves new paths into the Mundus. To read one is to let the ink rewrite your name, to become both scribe and scribed. The Brotherhood's ritual did not create the world. It bound the world to a script that unspools in blood. Every time a scroll is read, the Mundus bleeds a little brighter. Sithis, the god who is no god, is both author and prisoner, his stolen will trapped in the very thing that erases him. What is a god but a story the world refuses to forget? The Thorned Rose's quill still drips, the Oribus still dreams. And the Inko, the In never stops rewriting the void. The Thorned Rose's quill still blades into the Oribus. 7 towers now hold the Mundus, aloft each a splinter in reality's wound. Their spires glow but the light dims. A crack splits the third tower's foundation. No one knows when it will fall. The Numidium awoke in the warp in the west. Its reactivation split the sky. Dragon breaks ripple where time and space peel back. The ritual that birthed this world nearly drowned it, almost, but the ink never dries. Cults carve new pacts in forgotten dialects. They trace the rose's sigil in ash, believing they bind Sithis. They bind themselves. The void's hunger is a mirror what you offer, it repeats. A soul, a name, a fracture. The hero of Kvatch stood at the Numidium's core, saw the blood script still fresh. The last dragonborn felt the dragon breaks as a pulse. A rhythm, a countdown, the towers tremble, the ink bleeds faster. How long before the canvas unravels? How long before the rose's quill writes the end? The mundus holds for now, but the inn never flows. And Sithis wait. The Book of the Dead's final page whispers, * I am the dreamer who dreams the dream, and the dream that dreams the dreamer. * the Thorned Rose's quill bled the script into being. A canvas of flesh, a pact of silence. Sithis does not command, he waits in the margin, every line a snare, every pause a hunger. What is written cannot unwrite itself. The mundus holds, the ink never flows, and Sithis waits. The towers tremble, a single crack splinters the first spire, its echo a dirge of grinding stone and the scent of iron. The mundus bleeds. What if the pacts that bind it are not stone but scars? The thorned rose's ink is drying, their vigil ends.